You have the site back up and everything? It's back up and running now?
Yep, it is.
And I saw you were getting, as soon as you had your site back up, you were getting attacked by hackers. So again, you must be right over target, because that's when you receive the most flack.
Yeah, I've definitely brought out a lot of questions, a lot of facts, and a lot of truths. Like, one of the things I was bringing out was about how HAARP has a certain data has been erased. Like, if you look at April 7 through, I think it's the 12th, those days are gone on a certain magnetometer site. So why would certain magnetometer data be unavailable from certain days?
Yeah, and there's a couple people on YouTube that have written articles that have shown that a lot of times those days they correspond with like massive tornadoes and stuff that were taking place. And they show that they're, what they call HAARP rings appearing over an area, and then within 48 hours there's massive tornadoes. And this one guy, I think it's called Dutch Sense. Some people are like, oh, they badmouth him and say he's a wacko and this and that he's crazy. But I've mirrored two of his videos that I checked them out myself, and I found out that his information was 100% accurate. So to me, if people can make fun of and say, oh, they're not using HAARP here or HAARP there, but why wouldn't they use HAARP? The HAARP as we know it is older technology. They have more improved scalar technology now. HAARP is an older version, so why wouldn't they use it to manipulate the weather around the United States? Obviously, they somehow keep Bohemian Grove from burning to the ground every year during wildfire season. There's not that many, there's not enough wildfire firefighters. That's a mouthful right there. To protect the entire thing and still fight the fires elsewhere. So they have to be using some sort of weather manipulation to be able to keep the forest around there all they would have to do is keep it humid and keep it moist, and the fire would naturally not be able to burn it down because it would burn around it. I mean, this is stuff that sounds crazy, but when you look into it, like, Bohemian Grove's been up since at least the 50s. I don't remember how far back it goes. I think it actually goes back to the 30s, but in fact, it does, because it went back. It's older than World War II, so I take that back. I think it goes back to like the 1930s, and it might even be older. But the stuff that goes on there, all these wildfires that happen year after year after year, it would be cheaper for them to just keep a damp rain cloud and rain clouds over the area during wildfire season. All these other cities in California burned down, but that thing's never burned down. I just find that suspect. And people can laugh and say, oh, you're a tinfoil hat wearer, but I suggest you go look up geoengineering, and you'll see that I'm not lying, and neither is Brian. HAARP is real. Scalar technology is real. Weather modification is real. Google Ben Livingston. This guy was the first man to seed a cloud here in the United States back in the 60s. And he was able to, by seeding the cloud, it literally tore the hurricane apart, and they were able to stop a hurricane before it made landfall. So back in the late 60s, they had this technology that they were able to do it just by seeding the clouds with certain particulate matter. Now, can you imagine the stuff they have today? Go look up Nikola Tesla and his death ray. His death ray is what HAARP is. I mean, you can do multiple things with scalar technology. You could use it as a weapon. You could control people's minds with it. It's really, really creepy technology. The government, oh, no, we're not, there's nothing, there's no weapon purpose for it. Let me tell you something. If the Air Force is involved with something, there's a weapons purpose for it. The military never gets involved with anything unless it can weaponize it and use it on the battlefield against a quote-unquote enemy. Remember that. So, Brian, what else have you found out about HAARP, like in your investigations? Anything else besides just the readings being cut off for like a week at a time?
Well, I also found out that I think I know the reason why people suspected the HAARP site was down. Because when you go to HAARP, harp.alaska.edu, it won't connect to it. It says the server's not found. But when you add the www to it, it goes right straight to the site. So it's almost as if they're trying to throw people off so that they won't look into the magnetometer and do their own research. And so I know that when you have the www, we can get to it. So everyone needs to know that if they can't get to the HAARP's website, you need to have the www. And if you still can't get to the site, it could be something to do with the DNS being blocked, or it could be some other reason. Or it could be that they're trying to keep people from getting to the site. Who knows?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me, and they, a lot of people think that, they wouldn't do that, or they do. The government does tons of shady things to cover things up. Case in point, guy on YouTube, somebody had emailed it to him, and he made a video about it, and he showed that the Army put in an order for a massive order for I think it was a little bit under 500,000 booklets to instruct people on how to operate a FEMA camp and for prisoners and stuff. And they literally put in this order like they needed it yesterday. So he did a video about it, and it came out like I think about 5 or 6 days ago. And as soon as he put the link and everything up, and as soon as I think the video got like 20,000 hits and went viral. And as soon as it had like 20,000 hits and you could click on the link, he shows you the link, he clicks on it, and he shows you what with a screen capture software, he shows you the page. And when you click on the same link, it's all edited now. It's all changed. So the government does that crap all the time. All right, guys, we're going to break. We're going to pay some bills. We'll be back in a few minutes. You're listening to Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye from Federaljack.com, and this is the Orion Talk Radio Network.
They killed my entire family, murdered and tortured, raped and pillaged. I was only 5 and I was the only surviving witness. My entire village burned to the ground. He wore a serpent in his crown. Happily committed murder with a frown and an army of black hooded fiery skull generals and a sorcerer that could cast spells that'll change it.
The Orion Talk Radio Network is here. The First Amendment of the Constitution grants us freedom of speech. That's the freedom to express our views and opinions without censorship. If you listen to mainstream radio at all, you'll notice that free speech is pretty hard to find these days, with just a handful of networks offering programs that dare to discuss topics and issues that have a profound impact on our daily lives. The mainstream media simply lies by omission and distortion of the facts. The Orion Talk Radio Network is committed to bringing you entertaining and thought-provoking programming that dares to tell the truth. And you can help us as we grow our network. If you think you have what it takes to host a show, you know of someone interested in hosting a show, or any other suggestions, comments, or questions, please drop us an email at oriontalkradio@gmail.com. That's oriontalkradio@gmail.com. And thank you for listening to the Orion Talk Radio Network. If you're not mad, you're not paying attention. Micro 1650 AM, Tonawanda, New York.
With IRN USA Radio News, I'm Precious Watson. A doctor in Misrata says at least 28 people have been killed and 85 wounded in weekend fighting between Libyan rebels and forces loyal to Gaddafi. The Libyan government says the army has been holding fire since Friday to allow local tribal leaders to negotiate with the rebels. But residents of the western city say Gaddafi's forces continue to fire rockets. Human Rights Watch is calling for UN inquiry into Syria's widening crackdown on opposition protesters. More than 120 people have been killed since Friday. One Syrian human rights activist says security forces detained dozens in raids today. The renewed crackdown comes less than a week after the president's regime abolished the country's nearly 50-year-old emergency laws used for decades to crush dissent. BP has pledged $50 million a year over 10 years to study the impact of last year's oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. This is IRN USA Radio News.
How would you like to be financially independent and never have to worry about money again? Hi, how in the world are you anyway? I'm Andy Willoughby with the 3-Step Plan Home Business System. We would like to send you a free video that will show you step by step how you could start your own business in your spare time working from home. All you'll need is your telephone, internet access, and a good attitude. We'll show you business categories that are growing even in this tough economy. We will even show you how you could take advantage of current tax laws that could make it possible for you to add thousands of dollars to your tax refund every year. If you would like to add $700, $3,000, or even more every month to your income, you need to see this video. To get this free video, go to 3stepusa.com. That's 3stepusa.com or call 800-480-2102. That's 800-480-2102.
At a time of growing concern about government spending, the federal government made $125 billion in improper payments in fiscal 2010, more than 11 times the total 2010 spending by the U.S. State Department. CNSNews.com reports the $125 billion in improper payments was also more than 7 times the total spending by the Justice Department or by NASA. In his Easter address, Pope Benedict is calling on Europeans to welcome refugees from North Africa. A crowd of more than 100,000 packed St. Peter's Square to hear the Pope deliver the traditional Easter Mass. Benedict also prayed for diplomacy to prevail over warfare in Libya and for citizens of the Middle East to build a new society based on respect. Crews are still cleaning up the mess at St. Louis's Lambert Airport, but flights are departing again. The airport was struck by a tornado 2 days ago, as were 9 communities in the area. Despite the heavy damage, there were no serious injuries or deaths. For the latest news and analysis, log on to IRNUSAnews.com.
Have you ever seen a crisis? You will. Look around. The United States of America is already a nation in crisis. Every day, we're witnessing the meltdown of money, government, and religion. If we're to survive tomorrow, we must prepare today. Many of the answers are in the priceless book, A Nation in Crisis, by economists and news executives Chuck Bates and Larry Bates. Order yours today at 800-336-7000 or log on to anationincrisis.com. The quicker you get it, the better off you'll be. 800-336-7000.
3 members of the Senate Armed Services Committee are calling for immediate military aid for the rebels fighting Gaddafi's forces, stepped-up NATO airstrikes, and more direct U.S. involvement. Senators Joe Lieberman, Lindsey Graham, and John McCain made the talk show round Sunday morning. They say they interpret the UN Security Council resolution as also allowing moves necessary to drive Gaddafi from power. The president of a mining company in northern Idaho says that a miner trapped underground 9 days ago is presumed to be dead. Crews using boreholes and probes found only sand and rubble and no open area behind the site where the silver mine ceiling collapsed. Hecla Mining Company president Phil Baker says officials now believe Larry Merrick was buried in the cave-in. It's one of the most coveted invitations of the season, but at least one recipient is sending regrets. Bahrain's crown prince has declined the invitation to attend Prince William and Kate Middleton's wedding, saying he doesn't want the Gulf nation's unrest to tarnish the celebration. Bahrain's Sunni monarchy has waged a wide-ranging crackdown against Shiite protesters calling for more freedoms. Firefighters continued to make gradual progress containing the massive wind-whipped wildfires that raged across Texas, while expressing worry that a change in the weather early next week could spark a new outbreak. More than 460 firefighters have worked to build a fire line stretching more than 270 miles. Since January 1st, wildfires have scorched more than 1.4 million acres in the state and led to the deaths of 2 firefighters. With IRN USA Radio News, I'm Precious Watson.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
Now you can listen to the Orion Talk Radio Network on your phone, anywhere, anytime, with our Listen by Phone feature. Just call 704-772-7627. 704-772-7627. Then enter the code 10016. That's 10016. All long distance and cell phone charges apply. Powered by UpSnap.
This is the point from which I can never return. And if I back down now, then forever I burn. This is the point from which I can never retreat. Cause if I turn back now, there can never be peace. This is the point from which I will die, succeed, live in the struggle. I know I'm alive when I bleed. From now on, it can never be the same.